Okay, the new rhythm, the new strumming pattern. Now, because you've gotten, the last two up to that 240 quickly, um, especially that previous one, you got that up to speed, really fast. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead with some things here. So, um, typically what I do getting people to this specific strumming pattern and rhythm, chord progression. I mean, the chord progression is very different for a lot of people. I'm going to try and do some things here with you that also kind of jumping ahead because you've shown so far that you got some skills. We don't need to do everything, all ground up kind of thing and go super slow with stuff. I feel like we can jump ahead and just try and tackle like big picture rhythms and things like that now. That being said, we may run into an instance where I do give you something that it might be too difficult to really get down quickly or easily. That's fine. Always give it your best, and I will scale things back as needed in order to get us moving forward again to get to like these big picture, goal rhythms or whatever you want to call them. So basically, when I give this specific rhythm, I usually teach it in a 3-4 time signature first. And basically, we go over that pattern right there, where you're constantly doing one and three, one and three. So I'm going to play not that specific chord progression. I'm going to play a chord progression just to teach the points, get the idea across here. So I'll typically, again, start off with something like this for people, doing like a 1 and 3, 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 and get people used to doing that and counting the whole 1 and 3. And that's the key here, the 1 and 3. And then what I end up doing with people is I will put that rhythm, like you see right now, in a 4/4 time signature, just like it is now. But I will have a new chord every time the strumming pattern begins again. So this pattern, it just happens over and over again. It might look a little different because of how it carries across the bar and whatnot. But basically, we're always going eighth notes. And remember, an eighth note tied to an eighth note is the length of a quarter note. So that's why it's showing like this here. Let me adjust that a little bit. There we go. I want that count being shown too. Let me adjust it like this instead. There. Right, so this, remember, that is the same length of time as that. So basically, this rhythm is the full pattern, and then the rhythm is done once more here, but it's using quarter notes when possible instead of the tied eighth notes, because there's a good chance you'll come across something like this and other tablature out there. So I want to make sure you have experience seeing both ways. I prefer seeing it like this. It's a lot easier to read, just sight read the thing, but anyway. Yeah, you'll likely see something like that instead. Anyway, so the main pattern, or the pattern, strumming pattern, is always going to be eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, quarter notes, eighth note, quarter note, over and over and over again. And in doing so, your strumming is going to be down, up, down. And that's it the whole time. Down, up, down, up, down, over and over. So, again, I will give people, most people, that rhythm in the 3/4 time signature because it's a lot easier to visualize. It's a lot easier to get that down because you see like, okay, well that's the pattern. Then I change chords each bar, and I just keep the 1 and 3, 1 and 3 the whole time. And then what I do to push it a little bit further, put it in the 4/4 time signature, and still have a new chord every single time that rhythmic pattern starts again. And I'll have them use on their metronome something that accents beat number 1. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're hearing an accent on the first beat of every 4. So we're hearing a 4/4 time signature count. But then I tell them still count it like it's a 3/4. So every time you say 1, you change chords. For example, let me actually put this in that. I think I want that sound. Or maybe this. No. Yeah, this one. Okay. So we got that 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do similar progression here, or that I just did. Because like this is what I usually give people next after doing the straight 3/4 thing the whole time. I'll put the 3/4 pattern across the 4/4 pattern, 4/4 time signature. We get something like this. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 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 1 and 3. So something like that. So they're hearing on the metronome an accent on beat number 1, and then 3 regular clicks. So just keep cycling through those 4 beats. Here, so basically it's trying to introduce this idea of a polymeter, and that's what you got here. It's very polymetric. What the heck does that mean? We can see it's in a 4/4 time signature. It says 4/4, and we can see we have 4 beats every bar. But the strumming pattern is like a 3/4 time signature because it continues to change, or not change, it continues to repeat every 3 beats. So instead of counting it as it's written, doing 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 3 and 1, 2 and 4, we're just going to count it as a 3/4. Which makes it a lot easier, especially when you get going faster, because it's just 1 and 3, 1 and 3. You just got to be careful of when you change the chords. And that's what makes this specific rhythm challenging. So it's in a 4/4 time signature, but we're strumming it and thinking of it like it's a 3/4 time signature, but the chords change every new bar. So yes, lots of fun stuff going on there. I hope that explanation makes sense. As always, if you got questions, please let me know. But yeah, let's jump into the tough one now. And I'll leave this accent beat on as well. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3. 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 Alright, before I go faster, so yeah, different chords. I think that these inverted triads sound really good with distortion. So basically, what we're doing is taking the notes of a C chord here for like that C over G. So those are the notes for the C chord. And we're going to be doing stuff with, note naming, chord naming, all kinds of stuff as we progress. The theory stuff is going to be really, really in depth. So we have to take our time with it, just step by step by step and whatnot. But anyway, I think some of this might be review based on what you've told me. So yeah, C major chord, we have the notes C, E, and G. So I'm going to move this over here. What I'm going to do is take the fifth interval, that G, move it down an octave, and place it in the base of the chord. So G is not the root note. It's still C. We just have the root note in the middle of the chord now. So instead of going 1, 3, 5, we're going to go 5, 1, 3. So when you take the fifth interval of a chord and place it in the bass, it makes the chord sound deeper. And it works really well with distortion. So we got this C over G. So when you see that chord, the C over G, or the C slash G, what it's saying is C major is the chord. And then the new bass note is to the right of that slash. So it's saying we have a C major chord with G in the bass. And the next one, D minor over A. So it's saying we have a D minor on top of an A note, or D minor with A as the new bass note. And then we have E minor with B as the new bass note. And it just so happens that those are second inversion triads. So we got a second inversion C chord, second inversion D minor, second inversion E minor. And yes, we will be doing stuff with that later on, like having you do exercises, writing assignments and whatnot to have practice with those things. In-depth practice anyway. But yeah, I thought that'd be nice to throw those in there. Something new to work with. Alright, so let's go to 120 beats per minute next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 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 done. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 1 and 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So yeah, the chords that went along with that first mode thing, I actually considered removing them from that lesson since we're not ready for that yet. I was like, I might as well leave them in. You'll hear the mode stuff even more, possibly. So it really has to do with just your basic triad chords that are found in each of these keys. So if you notice the Roman numerals going along here, you may have learned about that. So basically, the B chord, we're in the key of B major. E Lydian is in the key of B major. So that's, like Lydian is the fourth mode in your major key. So that's why we have the Roman numeral 4 here. So chord number 4 is E major, and E Lydian being the fourth mode is kind of how that lines up. I'm not explaining that in good detail right now because I'm trying to think like how in depth we should get right now without doing like worksheet type stuff, because I want to make sure it's understood well. But basically, like, those are the triad chords that happen in the key of B major, and we're starting on the fourth chord and just going in order. So maybe you've learned this, and we're going to do things with this number system idea. Like, so your major key, you got the 1, 4, and 5 chord are major, the 2, 3, and 6 are minor, and the 7th chord is diminished. So, looking through these chords here, that's 4, 5, those are major, the 6, that's minor, 7, that's diminished, and then there's chord number 1, that's major, 2 and 3, those are minor, chord number 4 again, major. And then here with the Ionian mode, that's all in order. So yeah, there's your 1, 4, and 5 major, the 2, 3, and 6 minor, 7 diminished. So it's basically like kind of, I want to say scale-ish. I mean, kind of is, but just just going through the triad chords in order. And when I say triad chords, a lot of times people will say like, oh, well, triad is just, it's got to be just 3 notes, 3 strings. Like, yeah, well, it's still a triad chord because it's only 3 notes. We're just repeating some of those notes at different octaves. So it's still a 3-note chord. It's still a 3-note chord. It's still a triad. But, it's just a big old open chord and stuff like that. Well, that one's a bar chord. Yeah, that's what's going on there with the chords. It's just, those are the major, minor, and diminished chords that happen in key. And we're just going in order as you're moving up the different intervals of that mode. So we will get into more detail with that coming up. But what I'd like you to do this week is, let's see. And I'm going to have to change some stuff here. So basically what I have is the mode names in the same order from last time. And your job is to change the key for each line to the appropriate key and change the notes needed to make it to change the interval into the new key. So, like, and again, if these are things you don't know, let me know. So, but again, it seems like this is kind of like brushing up on some things. So maybe I'll just kind of assume you know this. If you don't, tell me. We'll keep making adjustments as needed as we go. So E Lydian, 4th mode. So you got to think, doing this. That's why we have those 5 sharps at the start there. That's your key signature. So E Lydian is basically like if you went down 4 notes in a major scale, like, well, where would you end up? On the key of B. So B, C sharp, D sharp, E. B major is the key that E Lydian sits in. So then I need to change this screen here. So in Guitar Pro, you need to come over here when you're going to change the key signature. So that's where you change the key signature. Those 3 sharp signs right there. So down here, E Ionian. That's an easy one to figure out. Basically, you're going to highlight that, click here, and then change this to the correct key. So E Ionian would be E major, so all you got to do is click on this and change it to E major. Click OK, and there you go. And then you got to find, well, what's different? Remember, Lydian has a sharp 4. So you got to find in here where is the sharp 4 in that? And then you got to take that sharp 4, flat it, so it becomes a perfect 4th. And then, yeah, you're going to change one thing at a time as you go. So basically, yeah, so everything right now is Lydian. Everything in here right now is Lydian as far as the notes being used. So basically, it's just copied and pasted for you to change. So basically, when you change something here, like when you change the necessary intervals to turn Lydian into Ionian, you can go ahead and just change that for all of them right away. So we got to make it easier on yourself because it always carries over. And then you're going to have to change Ionian into Mixolydian and pick the appropriate key for that. So again, you highlight that, and then you come up to this to pick the correct key. So Mixolydian is the 5th mode. So you got to think, okay, well, if that's E and the 5th note, I'm kind of looking at like power chord because like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then all right, so A major. A major, that's the key that has E Mixolydian. So you'd pick A major from that little menu there. Now, to help, I'll put that key back in because I want you to do that. To help, I already got it to, but that's the wrong one. Where'd it go? Hold on a second. I had it. I must have closed it. I obviously closed it because it's not there. Let me open it up again. Let's see. I think I put it in your folder already. I did not. All right. Let me grab that. Change the mode. Boom, boom. Copy that. And get back to your folder. I figure I just talk out loud what I'm doing so you're not sitting there watching me be silent and wonder what the hell's going on. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to give you this too. So basically you can check your work. You can play through this, kind of get an idea of what it's supposed to be like, and then you basically need to match it. So try, once you go through this and you're able to play everything well, try going to the other one and make the appropriate changes so that it looks the same, but try not to look at this one. So this is to practice it, get more of an idea, figure out like, okay, well, what are the intervals being used here? Like, which one is what? So, you know, for example, like that E Lydian, it's kind of, it starts by just climbing up and then it goes down. So you got your 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, back to 3, back to 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 7, 6, and then repeat. So, very standard metal palm mute accent pattern there. So yeah, just working through all that with the repeats. Change the mode. Ooh, wrong mode. And there we go. So I hope that makes sense. Basically, learn that, play that, and then go to the other file and then make the appropriate changes. So you change the key as well as the intervals or the notes within the tab to fit the key and the mode. Hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, just turn it in once you got it. We'll check it out and see how it looks. All right. We'll see you again in new videos.